admiring myself, my beauty, considering this is a very laid back, chill day for me. Today is Saturday. I'm doing laundry. I'm just chilling. I took off work yesterday. And it's funny because one of my colleagues who's actually transitioning to go into private practice full time, she's like, you no longer work here anymore. I'm like, y'all just don't know me, yo. But I think slowly people are beginning to understand and appreciate the fullness of myself and all that lies within. And so this video actually is inspired just by some thoughts I've been having recently, considering I am approaching 40 years old. In September, we are in the month of June right now. So like 3 months away, a little over 3 months, I'll be the big 40. And I'm like, wow, 40 and no kids. Now, I still got 3 more months to go, so we'll see how this goes. I still got 3 more months. Let's see if I'm going to make it to 40 with no kids, right? Being not pregnant, too, that counts. Pregnancy counts, right? I'm not pregnant now, though. You say same here? You too? Wow, I'm trying to see, looking at your picture, are you a male or are you a woman? Are you a man or you're a woman? Sometimes it's hard to tell with your gender neutral profile names. And it's like for me, I don't feel any kind of way. You are a woman. Okay. My initial instincts was leaning more so towards that, a woman, because it looked like your picture is a woman. But I just wanted to make sure, because some men, I didn't assume some men are women and they get upset at me, right? But y'all know I'm a very spiritual person, so in this video I'm definitely going to tap into the spiritual aspects of sacral energy, especially as it relates to procreation and even sex. And it's just like some people really don't quite get it. They just don't. And in my videos, I think I take a lot of time in being very conscientious and delicate in breaking down these aspects of spirituality, how it plays out, how it manifests itself within me and in my interpersonal relationships. Of course, I like to use my own personal life story and experiences as a canvas for my storytelling when I come to you guys here in my vlogs. But yeah, when I say I don't really feel any particular kind of way necessarily, I don't. I know some women as they age, right, or as they, experience life and continue to have revolutions around the sun, they obviously innately have a desire to procreate. And if that hasn't happened as they reach a certain period in their lives, which we often refer to as, the clock, the biological clock, right? Being, going up against a biological clock, right? And reaching this point that's a very critical point in their life, presumably, for the place and the position that I am in my life right now. Being single, first and foremost, and then not having any children. It's a very freeing aspect, right? Now, granted, I've seen a variety of flavors of womanhood displayed with women who have children, women who have children who are happy and single, women who have children who are married and happy, women who have children who are married and unhappy, women who have children who are single and unhappy, right? And miserable. And even those women who are married and who are perceivably happy with children, they still struggle, right? It's another layer of stress that one has to cope with, essentially, right? And for me, I've always emphasized, this is carrot juice, orange juice, and ginger, the best. But I've always emphasized like the importance of being very selective. I'm on the dating scene, and then you have men that I come across. And of course, they pose a question because, you know, I am phenotypically attractive to a lot of men. They're like, you're attractive, you have a lot going for yourself, you're a whole doctor out here, you're financially stable. I live in Upper East Side Manhattan, very posh neighborhood. They're like, why are you single, right? And I think this is their own cognitive dissonance and their own socialization to assume that only women are chosen. As if men are the only ones who do the choosing, do the picking. It's like, no, we pick our partners. And I have to be mindful of the time too, because I know I can go on and on, but I do have to be mindful of the time because I'm doing laundry. But it's like, we have to be, we do the picking. Women, we pick our mates just as much as men pick their mates. Even beyond that, scientifically, it is the egg that picks the sperm. So y'all got to go do your research. It's like there's a lot of misinformation out there, and it's done strategically so, right, in order to keep a group of people oppressed, women in this case, to keep us subservient, to keep us in this realm of thinking, this reality that is really made up, is false, to assume that we are less than, right? We are worth less by comparison, right? Or just worth less altogether. And we internalize these very toxic ways of thinking that have been superimposed upon us by the male identity, our male counterparts. It's strategic. Now, me being the wise one I am, that shit don't touch me, right? But I'm very much aware of this and what's happening in our society, and having this level of awareness when I encounter a man, you know, because I make myself available on a dating site, right? With the intent to get to know someone. And then, of course, I put men through challenges to weed out those who are appropriate versus those who aren't. And, you know, very few guys make it to the point of going on a date, I would say, in relation to all the number of guys who have messaged me, right? Like, who I come across, I receive. And now I'm not alone in this. I know a lot of other women who are on the dating scene. Inbox is flooded. On social media, a platform that's we're not even really designed for that necessarily, unless it's on the dating side of the social media platform. But in general, like, a lot of women just receive a lot of inbox messages from men unwantingly, you know, on Instagram, Facebook, but like on a dating site, right, that's designed for this, like, my inbox is just inundated with messages from all types of men. And it's exciting. It's a fun part of being single, because it's just like you get to be exposed to like all these different people that you didn't even know exist, right? It's like interesting, right? And so then it's the process of weeding out. And I've gotten on here and I've shared different experiences. And I just, like I said, I've noticed a pattern, which I made in my most recent video, a pattern that I noticed with men. I talk about the big dick male imposter syndrome that exists, right? And I gave warning before I started the video, because I know some people can be triggered. And I have to preface my videos in saying that I am not in the business of tearing anybody down. That's not my intent. You may be triggered, male or woman, or transgender, or however you identify yourself, right? And you're triggered because I'm in your territory. I'm in your space, right? I'm resonating with something in you that you can relate to. And so it's up to you who are watching this video, watching any of my videos, to be self-aware. It helps, I think, to come to my videos with the level of self-awareness and knowing who you are, so that when you are triggered and when you feel a certain way, Wherever that feeling comes in your body, right? But it surfaces, it's no surprise to you because you already know yourself, right? So when I'm on your street and I get close to you, you're not alarmed. There are a lot of people who do become alarmed, though. They're like, whoa, and then they get mad at me because they have a visceral reaction to something I say. And the funny thing about it is, like, I don't even know none of y'all, right? So you can't say, oh, I'm doing this on purpose to offend you or to hurt you. I don't know who's watching my videos. I don't know that you're going to click on my video, whether it's on a live video when I'm in action as I am right now on Facebook, or if it's a pre-recorded video. I make all my videos, I record all my videos live on Facebook. I download them from Facebook after I finish, and then I upload them to YouTube because I have a wider audience on YouTube. I don't know, even when you guys come on YouTube, who you guys are, and then you're going to watch my videos. I'm just free-forming. I'm speaking from my heart. And so when I reflect, like I said, I had some thoughts recently, and I come across women with children. I have sisters, like I am the youngest of 5 sisters and 2 brothers, all of which have children. Like I've been an auntie since as far back as I can remember. That was my very first job, babysitting, right? So I'm very much experienced in taking care of children and nurturing little babies, newborn babies, all the way up through adolescent. I've done that in the role of an auntie, right? And I know people say it's not the same. Of course it's not the same. You get to give them back, right? But I've had children for extended periods of time, a whole summer on one occasion, a whole summer, 4 children. I think all of them were in elementary school at the time, right? So I definitely know what it's like. And I think men who date me, who have dated me, and especially those men who seek to procreate, they want to have children. They get frustrated, and this is where the spiritual aspect comes in. It's funny because I say this to guys, right? But I tell them, like, this is something that is put on the table. I'm transparent with you guys. I'm very transparent in my interactions when I'm dating. And I say to men, like, I'm a spiritual person. Now, spiritual is just a word. It can carry many different meanings. Like, what does it mean to be spiritual? For them, I think from some men, it's just like, okay, what does that mean? They have no idea. But it's like, take caution, because there are different levels to spirituality, or different ranks, one would say. Different spiritual ranks. And you got to be careful. I think because men and women have been socialized in many different ways in our society, like within that socialization, the byproduct of that is a degree of toxicity. And for me, I spot it head on. And it doesn't resonate. There's friction when it comes to a toxic-minded man, I would say, who comes within my sphere. Like, listen, we can interact all day on the physical level, but you better well be careful. I'm just saying, though, you got to be careful who you're dealing with, right? When I say all is spiritual, that I'm so serious about this. And I'm going to definitely give some examples to make it more practical for you guys to understand. But it's like, men, you got to be careful. And when I say I'm thankful, I'm grateful that I do not have children. Not to say I cannot. I'm very much fertile. I've got tested. Like, I'm very much fertile every single month. But ever since I reached the age where I could procreate, I've cast a spell upon my own self, my own body. In that, I've said these words. And like I said, I've always been a spiritual person ever since I was a little girl, y'all. This is just a language that I've always lived by. And I said, like, you know, you have to speak life over yourself, right? And protection over your own self, and knowing, you know what I'm saying, like what kind of world we live in. And seeing other women struggle and seeing people just go through stress, I'm just like, that, I always said, that's not going to be me. I may go through things in life, but to be a woman who carries a child, like, y'all don't get, I think because y'all just live and y'all just like, everything is just, y'all normalize everything. But it's very difficult for me to fathom a woman carrying a child in her womb for 9 months. The very sacred place where life is formed and developed. And to do that, yo, let's just pause it. Like, and a man, like, not to appreciate that. I feel like when people talk about the biggest slap in the face or the biggest type of offense, right? And some people may think of like a person spitting in their face or something. Like, no, the biggest offense to me is like men, whether consciously or unconsciously. And I feel like if you're a man, listen, if your ass have reached to the point of adulthood, there's no excuse. You know what the fuck you are doing. It is within your realm of responsibility. You have an obligation. Now, unfortunately, a lot of men, they're just careless, right? And this is where women make the mistake. It is our choosing. It is our duty to guard the womb. We are the protectors, right? And we choose who we want to procreate with. We choose who we want to have sex with, to exchange our sacred energy with. That is a choosing. But you talking about the biggest form of defamation and disrespect in my book is for a woman to allow a man to enter into her sacred flower, to release, as some women may call, poison, because that's usually like what it becomes. Is not sacred anymore. They don't even value themselves. You talking right. I'm saying though, I wholeheartedly believe what I'm saying. But it's like for a woman to allow that and a man to release his sperm, his seed into a woman. Her egg chooses the sperm. Chooses to preserve his bloodline. Okay? In the context, we're talking about black people here. Let's bring it to focus. We're talking about within the context of the black community, a community who has been marginalized, who has been racially oppressed. This is the reason why I say for me it's important that I am aligned with a person who is truly racially and politically conscious, because it's not going to work. You have a lot of men that tout that, but what is their understanding of that, right? How does that manifest their level of racial and political consciousness? How does that truly manifest itself? Because if you are that, there is no way in heaven or hell that you will make a deliberate decision to abandon your family. And then you have men who are under the impression that, oh, I take care of my kids. As if that alone is a badge of honor. I take care of my kids. But the woman, the mother of your kids, does it matter? Like, I can't fathom that. which is why I don't have kids. Like I said, from the moment that I was able to procreate, I've always cast spells upon my body. I've always done rituals to protect my energy, my sphere. Even though I may have interactions with men, if it's not right, is my womb, my body, every fiber in my being will not allow that to, it's not going to happen. I have contracted with myself and the gods and goddesses that govern my body. It is not going down. Okay? It's not. And I'm ever so thankful that it has not. It's not. I'm going to give another example where I was in a position recently. And before I share this example, which I've talked about in another video, I gotta go back because it's just like, I think also looking at these, the unfolding of these recent events with, what's the artist's name? I don't even know because I don't associate myself with ratchetness, right? But I've seen it on social media. Sukihana, I don't know how to pronounce her name because I don't know her, okay? Sukihana, whatever, and OK Cyrus. And I saw this vlogger doing a reaction video to all of this that's unfolding, and then she went and dug up like one of this artist's videos and just the death of, like, she's defaming herself, and it's just like, Black women. And I get it, and I saw even one of her earlier videos where she was exposing herself and saying, you know what, I sold my soul to the devil. She was crying. I sold my soul to the devil. She's like, she felt very bad and guilty about her decision, but I mean, at that point it's too late because you already did it. You getting money from it, right? You rich. You know, once you enter into that contract, that spiritual contract, people don't know Hollywood. And that's, I've lived in Hollywood, California. I went to LA in 2016 to complete my doctoral studies. I was out there for 4 years. So my first 2 years was in Hollywood, California. My life is a whole freaking movie in and of itself. And it's coming. American Dreamer is coming. But I've come face to face with what Hollywood, and you hear about Hollywood, right? It's nothing until your ass is in the middle of it and you actually living there amongst these devils, right? And I said this to a person recently. He's like, oh, that's what they call it. It's the city of angels. I'm like, no, city of devils. It's like, you haven't even been out there. You have not lived out. Like, you have to come in contact, and when you are in contact, you have to have a degree of, your eyes got to be open. My third eye been open, okay? So it's just like, when you're in the midst of it, you're just like, oh, you're able to see the depths of darkness because you're there, you're in the middle of it, and it is true. It is true. So it's like her coming to this realization that she sold her soul to the devil and she's crying. It's like, it's too late. They got your ass. And it's just like the gangs, which I've had opportunity to work with out in Los Angeles. I worked in the prison system out there. And over 98% of the inmates are gang affiliated. Shit is real, right? You sign up for that, that's to death do you part. Otherwise, it's going to be on site. Okay? You betray, it's going to be on site. It's no surprise why people end up dead. Celebrities alike. Okay? It's because they have broken a spiritual contract that they vowed to keep. It is real. But she's already entered into that contract, so she's there, and it's like she is being used as a puppet to promote these negative images that further degrades Black women. And I'm looking at like one of the videos that was in this reaction video I was watching, and I'm just like, I'm so disgusted. I'm just like, how can Black women? Now listen, to each his own. You choose that lifestyle. You choose to be a hot girl and all of this. That's your choice, right? Know what comes along with that. That's all I'm saying. Right? Not here to judge, but it's just not, it's not my cup of tea. Because for me, respect is number one. You are not going to be in my spirit and you're going to be disrespecting me. I don't care who you are and what you look like. It's just not going to go down like that. But I know that men obviously live in the same context, and men are under the same brainwashing. And so they come across a woman like me, right? And they somehow think that it's going to fly. First of all, they think that they can hide underneath their facade. And I see right through it. On the outside, because they know, obviously, because I disclose, like on my profile and in our initial exchange, parts of who I am. Being a self-respecting woman, a respectable woman, being a conscious and spiritual woman. So they try to, of course, kind of assimilate to that. So they can match my energy, so to speak. But then there's always a division because my eyes pierce right through it and I see right through it. It just doesn't work, and we can no longer vibe. And so again, I get asked a question like, why are you single? This is why. There are very few men. You don't have to be perfect, but your soul got to be pure, man. You have to come with good intentions. And beyond that, we have to be here. Because it really boils down to life or death. And I'm all about breaking generational curses. And there's no way that I can enter into a soul contract with another human being knowing. Like, I know too much. That's why sometimes I say, maybe, it'll be better, like I said, ignorance is bliss. If I did not know any better, if I knew no better, then I'd probably be laid up with 5, 6 babies right now, single mother. I know too much, and I've always knew this. So there's no way my spirit won't, it doesn't resonate. I can try, right? And I get it, maybe oh, let's have some drinks. They try to lower your inhibitions. And in the moment, yeah, you might be relaxed and chilling, cool, but even still, one guy pointed out, you always psychoanalyzing. Not even trying, not even consciously. I mean, granted, I do this for a living, for a profession. I get paid to psychoanalyze people as a psychologist. But beyond my professional role, this is something I've always done. I'm always thinking. My spirit is always thinking. My conscience is always thinking. So you ain't gonna fit. It's not gonna work. And I've met guys, it's so, my spirit discernment, my spiritual discernment is so strong that I went on a date with a guy. He was Puerto Rican. And without much words even being spoken, his spirit was trembling. This dude was shaking. And I'm like, why are you shaking? Why are you nervous? I can't help it. He felt intimidated by me. And it's funny because it's I'm not even from New York. I'm from Florida. Right? I think it's funny to come across a New York man. Granted, New Yorkers are touted as being very hardened, from the streets. Nothing can intimidate or scare them. And I'm coming across the most hardened people in New York. And I intimidate you? Or my spirit intimidates you? But like I say, without words being spoken, it's not my words. It's like, it's my energy feel. I'm telling y'all, it's like, maybe you don't see it because I know I have this cute little innocent baby face, which I am, right? But it's just like when you're in my presence, it's a different kind of energy. Unless your shit is pure. If your shit pure, then we gonna be cool. It's gonna be no friction. But I've had this encounter even with supervisors, out in Los Angeles. I talk about this. And this is a Black woman, Black licensed psychologist for many, many years. She's done much work in the community, even across seas in Africa. But in my presence, she could not even take a seat in her chair. How is this? Like, we're talking about, there has to be maybe a good 12, 15 year age difference between me and this woman at the time, right? Even now. And she's my supervisor as part of one of my clinical rotations en route to fulfill the requirements for my PhD. And she could not sit down in her chair. Because, like, listen, I see through the bullshit. And it's just like, the forces over me are going to, I won't say attack you for lack of a better word, but you're going to be spoken to by those forces that protect me and that are over me. And you're not going to be comfortable so much, like you might end up having to leave the room. And this is not without me even saying anything. No thing on my face is expressing anything. If anything on my face, I have a smile. Or I may just have a regular face like this. I find it disturbing though, because it communicates to me like, oh, there's something in you that is not right, that's not in alignment with me. And this is how I know this ain't gonna go well. It's like your true face is showing. It's like, oh, it's being revealed. And it's just a matter of time before it all comes out on the table. Because I sniff it. I think it's the animal instinct too. Like, animals sometimes have this capability. They just like, walking and they sense. They may stop and look at your ass. And then you see a dog just barking. They sense something like, Now we looking around from the outside looking in like, what the hell is this motherfucking dog? And then you realize, oh, the dog sees something that we don't see, senses something on a whole nother level that we don't even sense. I've always had, when I made a video about spiritual gifts, just talking about spiritual gifts in general, how we all have them, but I know I'm very much tapped into mine. And shit is very eye-opening. It is, and I don't like to scare people though. That's the thing. And I feel like sometimes that's the issue, because people are intimidated. And so, like, going back to the example of the guy, like he was just so disturbed, but I think just being courageous in himself, like he faced his fears and we continued to date. But that to me was indication. That was enough indication to let me know that you're not the one. And I gave another example. I did a video of this guy that example came from like a couple years ago when I first moved back to New York, the Puerto Rican guy that was shaking. But like recently I had went on a date, not even recently, it's maybe like probably about a month ago now, almost like a month ago. And when it comes to energy exchange and sexual energy exchange, like I say, women, we choose. We have more power than what we know that we have. And I like to, this is the reason why, like, I play around within these dynamics of power. It's fun to me. It's my playground. I play around with that. That's the reason why I like the whole aspect of dominance and submission. It's so much area that you can maneuver and play within that, right? It's fun to me. Knowing my power, I willingly choose to submit. I desire that. I like to see when a man feels empowered. People in general too, even my patients, like, I like to empower them, but I like to see when a man in particular in this context, like, feels empowered, is emboldened. That gives me a sense of power. So, but I think it's funny though, sometimes when men think that, oh, their power comes from them. Hold on, give me a second. I gotta just make sure. I know I can freaking talk. All right, so I think it's coming up on that time. I'm about to try to wrap this up. But I think it's funny. What's the funny part about it is, like, when they think that they have power over me in that sense, and their power over me is solely dependent upon their power from within. I think that's their level of ignorance, though. It takes a real master to know that the real power lies within the submissive. The person who has contractually agreed to participate in this energy exchange. It's all a mutual agreement. So there's no way that a man can have any power over anything that has not consented to give him that power. You got to be one dumb motherfucker. That's where I laugh. I laugh on the inside and the outside. Especially from this conversation that was had with this person who's just like, yeah. He got me, right? And I talk about this in such a way where I explain, like, I felt like he took my soul. Y'all got, first of all, know I'm a storyteller. So all of this is poetic to me, right? Like, being able to create a story that, number one, I'm the lead actor in. That's our life. This is real life here, right? But it's just like, to be able to say, he took my soul. It felt like he snatched my soul. And then I go and look at him and say, what just happened? Do y'all get this? Like, I'm a whole actor out here in these streets. And to see the look on his face, like, yeah. As if this is my first rodeo. It's clearly not. I think it will be interesting to have a conversation with men that I've been involved with for an extended period of time. For example, like my ex that I dated, I met when I first moved to New York in 2014, and that was like my last long-term serious relationship. It ended 2017. I think in hindsight, him looking back, he could say, she the real deal. I think in the moment, though, he thought, like, yeah, he was running shit, you know, which I allow him to. It's just all fun and games, you know. Like I said, I take pleasure in seeing my man dominate me in all aspects of the word, not just sexually. And to be in that power, to take hold of that power, that shit to me is just sexy. I just like to embolden men in that way. I felt so emboldened. But then on the flip side, and this is just where it gets kind of dark, I also like to see myself take away that power. And the look on their faces when they are so helpless and pitiful. That's the other side of it, right? That's the sadistic part of it. And am I a sadist? I can be. Because I think that all of this is on the spectrum. I do have to wrap this up. Fuck, I hate this. hate that I have to wrap it up. Because I gotta get my clothes out the dryer. But it's just like, it's on a spectrum. So sadomasochism is a spectrum. No one is 100% masochist. No one is 100% sadist, right? And I think at any time, the tables can be reversed, which in fact they do. Same thing with dominance and submission. This is a spectrum. And a good dom is a good submissive. A good sadist is a good masochist, and vice versa. You gotta understand what you're dealing with, man. I'm telling you. So yes, to see that power slowly seeping away. And then they don't know what to think. But I think I definitely get more pleasure in just seeing them in that powerful role, that co-created degree of powerful role, right? Like, I like to see that over me. And I told this story with this recent exchange where, and this is around, and I'm definitely going to wrap this up, but this is around my mother's passing. So my mom transitioned May 26th. We're talking about last month, not even a month ago. My mother, my biological mother, who carried me in her womb and birthed me, natural, no medication, through her vagina. She transitioned May 26th. And as part of her transition, I made a deliberate decision of how I wanted my time spent around her transition, right? In fact, she did not take her last breath until I spoke to her. Now, granted, she's in Florida. I'm in New York. My last time going to Florida was 2021. But so this is happening over the phone. My sister had her call me, and she said, you know, Mom wants to just hear your voice. And she heard my voice. And then moments later, I get a call back. Said she passed away. She just wanted to hear your voice. And in the context, I chose this, right? Because I knew she was slowly transitioning. Like, I wanted male energy around me. I just wanted a little bit more dominant energy than I have around me, right? Just to balance things out. And so I had reached out to this guy, and, you know, he was willing to be there to support, and I was grateful. And make a long story short, right? I'm not telling every little bits and piece, but make a long story short, like, we went to his place. We had hung out that same night. Now, I talk about this in a previous video, right? What that date looked like. But we had hung out that night. So before my mom, like leading up to my mom taking her last breath, we hung out in Harlem of my choosing, at a place of my choosing. And I talk about how, like, the glass, and it just felt like the glass just was thrown on the floor. And I was like, dang, it was that my mom angry at me because I didn't go to Florida because my family wanted me down there. And it's just like there's no, how did the fucking a whole glass just shatter on the floor? But anyway, talk about that, right? And that was like leading up to the phone call with my mom taking her last breath. After that, went to spend the night with him, and he said, you know, we don't have to have sex. We don't have to have sex. Like, talking to me? I know what the fuck I don't have to do, right? But I like, you know, I play the role, right? I'm like, okay. So the morning comes, and he's like, he wants to be more intimate, right? He wants me to let my guard down. And like I said, yo, everything is an act with me. I am the author of my life, just as you are the author of your life. Nothing can happen to you that you don't want to happen to you. Our reality we project, but that's a whole nother metaphysical discussion. So he's like, yeah, want to tear down the barriers. And of course, I'm getting excited, but this is a dance here I play with men. And this is a secret. So if you made it to this part of the video, kudos to you, right? Because I'm spilling some real jewels here in my level of transparency, but it's like a dance in the sense that I'm always in control. Just rest assured that. But another part of me wants to give up that control and wants to make a man feel like he's in control. And I may pose as if, oh, I'm guarded. I'm afraid. What is he going to do to me? I'm a damsel in distress. But it's all to ignite a dance, right? He took the bait. So he was like, we got to let down his guard. Like, so it's like he's on a quest to let my guard down. And his way of doing that is like, okay, I just want you naked. Take off your clothes. I'm resisting, right? It's a dance. Of course I have to resist. It's a dance. And then, of course, what better way to get my clothes off than to him take my clothes off forcefully? Now, granted, yo, this shit can go on and on, yo. Let's just hope my clothes are safe. But granted, before all of this unfolds, like I think a whole weeks prior, I had explained to him, expressed to him that I am very much into rape play. Rape play, right? It's the idea. It's just about the idea, the sensation of like being dominated and being raped, right? You know, resisting but not resisting, right? And so he like takes off my clothes. I'm loving every bit of it, right? And he's just like, we're just gonna sit here. I'm gonna hold you. And he took off his clothes too, so we both were unclothed, lying there. And this is the morning after my mom's transition. Perfect. I just don't know how much aligned like the stars were in my universe, right? And so he's holding me. I'm there. I'm just like, I kind of wish that I was a little bit more anxious, but I wasn't. I was too fucking calm. Why the fuck am I calm? This calm. That's what I'm asking myself. Like, I kind of wanted my heart to be a little bit more flustered, more palpitating than what it was, but it wasn't. It's like, fuck. But anyway, maybe because he just wasn't that, like, his power really wasn't that overpowering. If it was, then I would have felt that what I wanted to feel, but I didn't. I was just way too calm. It's like, this is too peaceful. But anyway, I accepted it for what it was. And then he asked me, what do you want? And I said, I want a spanking. No hesitation, a spanking. He definitely delivered the spanking. But then after that, it was like a dance, and, you know, we did not have intercourse. Now, he's saying, this is the catch. His thought, he did that on purpose to make me want him more. Now, granted, he's fully erect. He wants to fuck. This is the funny part because he's like, he thinks he's teasing me, and he's rubbing his penis up against my, and this is for adults, mature audiences only. Y'all know all my videos are that. He's rubbing his penis up against my clitoris, up against the opening of my vagina, but he did not go in, right? In his mind, he's playing a mind game. I'm with the shits too. We attract what we are, right? So all of this is the divine timing, divine alignment. I think it's funny though, because he gets up like he won, like he's overpowered me. And I say all this to say, to tie it back into what I was saying in the context of me being 39, deliberately single with no kids, is that everything that happens, it's me. I've chosen that. The spirits over me, the spirits that protect me, the gods and the goddesses that protect me, he could not penetrate me if he wanted to. That's point blank, period. That was not going to happen. But he, in his mind, think that it was his choosing. When he wanted, oh so desperately, to have sex. But he says, I wanted to show you. And he still didn't really get it that was me. It was me, yo. But this is his words. I wanted to show you that I have the discipline. Because I told his ass he lacks sexual discipline. Do you see how I play? Like, yo, you cannot master a master. I am a fucking mastermind. I do this shit for a living. Not only do I practice psychology, and I hate to toot my own horn, but sometimes, like, you have to let people know they just don't see it. They just don't get it, yo. Beyond being a psychologist and being being pretty good at what I do, like, before I was drawn to this field, yo, I'm a spiritualist at my core. I do this shit, man. But I gotta wrap this video up. So I just had to say it like that. And I didn't say that before in my other video because it's like, for me, it's all storytelling. It's a dance. And I am a submissive. I keep going back to that. I like a man feeling in control. I want a man to feel in control, but just know, like, yo, who is really pulling the strings here? And everything that I say, word that I've spoken, is very intentional. Just know that. And when I said that, I put that out into the universe to say that he lacks sexual discipline. What do you think that was about? It's about now he has to prove that he has sexual discipline. I know I do. Which goes into why and how. I am 39 with no kids. The last time I've had intercourse was January 2021. This is very deliberate. I did not want to have sex with him. And granted, I felt his penis. I took his penis in my hand. And I'm like, that shit ain't gonna be hitting too much. That shit ain't gonna be hitting. I knew it wasn't gonna be hitting. Number one, he's uncircumcised. I'm like, yo, that's a whole nother video. I was gonna make a video about that shit. Uncircumcised peen. He's uncircumcised. The girth, y'all, listen, I hate to do this. I really do. But the girth. I could just tell by the girth of his penis. That shit is not hitting. It was not going to hit. And it's just a more disappointment. What woman wants to lay up with a man and have a man penetrate her? And that shit is not, I've said this before, yo. Y'all think y'all be laughing at my video, my posts, but I be dead ass serious. If a man is gonna get in between my legs, yo, you better to deliver. Sorry, but not sorry. I'm gonna let it be known. I'm a vlogger. This is what I do. I ain't gonna call your name out like that. But I'm just saying, though, I have talked about little dicks, pencil dick ass niggas. And for me, I make a deliberate choice not to, because it's nothing worse than protecting the sanctity, the purity of your sacral energy. And you are with a man that just don't measure up. That's point blank period, you know. Just don't measure up. You're just so disappointed. I've been there. Just like, granted, he's a good man, right? Like, you know. But god damn. And I said, like, listen, women, we have to inspect men. Okay? Hold that shit. Look at it. If it's not to your liking, sex ain't going to happen. It's not going to go down. Deep down in his spirit, communicated by my spirit, he knew he had no fucking right and authority to insert that piece of shit into my sacral space. I already told his ass, and I think that's why he was so intimidated to do it, because I say, you're going to come quick. He's like, oh yeah, oh yes. I can guarantee you anything, soon as you put it in, you're going to nut. And that is going to be, that's a lot of performance anxiety, right? He's so intimidated. He's overwhelmed. He's afraid. I got him to the point he was afraid. Dick hard in the motherfucking rock. His ass is afraid to stick it in. And now that shit eating his ass up because we're done. Like, we're done for not even that reason. We're done for other reasons. Like, and just not compatible. But in me, after like that happened, he got up and I kind of played the dance. Like, oh, I feel like you took my soul. Right? And I expressed that. Listen, I'm going to share some posts that I made many years ago. I am into the business of soul snatching, okay? Soul snatching. You can't snatch my soul. You can't manipulate a master manipulator. I do that shit. Like, that's my job, right? So I just hate to make it pretty frank and clear, but sometimes I feel like I have to do that. I have to just put it out there and make it very frank and clear, okay? And yes, I do leave men in that position. A lot of men got to be taught a lesson. You got to be taught a lesson. Unless you come correct with me, yeah, I'm going to teach you listen, I'm going to teach you such a powerful lesson that your ass is never going to be able to forget. The lesson or me. That's just how it's going to go down. Now, how you feeling? Now, how you looking? I'm telling you, I'm very dangerous, to say the least. In a spiritual way. I ain't going to put my hands on you. I don't do that. I don't have to. It doesn't require that. It's the way I maneuver. So I had to lay it out there because a lot of y'all men, y'all be having shit twisted and y'all be having shit mistaken. And when I say, like, I end these spiritual contracts, and I always say, I'm going to get out of what I need to get out of anything. And one may look at that, right? You probably watching is like, well, what is the purpose? Like, you were this close. Y'all were like touching each other, right? I needed that beating, yo. And it was beyond a spanking. He took out that belt and he beat out, yo. He did that. But for me, it was like closure. And I talk about the symbolism with my mom because I grew up, my mom, that was her way of disciplining us, me and my sister. She would beat. We had to strip down, number one. Strip down to our panties. That's it. Just our bottom panties. Everything else is bare. Lie on the bed, and she would beat us with extension cord, cable cord, leather belt. Her favorite ones was like the cable cord, extension cord, and we would have welts and just, it was just so excruciating. So much to the point, and I know I gotta end this video, but so much to the point where I wish death upon my mom. I was in so much pain. Like, I hated her, but anyway. So I just felt like that was like a ritual that I partook in, and I did that consciously, knowing like, this is how I'm going to seal the deal. No, I did not go to my mom's funeral. My family was all questioning. Listen, I already made a video on that, where watch my painting dedication video. I talk about that in that video. Everything for me is spiritual. I know what the fuck I am doing. Everything is deliberate. Just know that. And yeah, so if and when the time comes, in conclusion, for me to procreate with a man, I always say, listen, he got to be just as crazy as I am, number one. Crazy. And we just definitely got to vibe and connect on that level. And most importantly, all that, what do you bring to the table? Man, gotta ask that kind of question. You ain't it. You not the one, bro. It should be evident. And I don't have to make another video on that. Just on that alone, that whole question of men asking women, what do you bring? You don't ask a dog, what are you bringing to the table, right? People choose to take on dogs as companions because they know what a dog can bring, right? You don't have to have a list of things that the dog as advertised, you know, you don't have to have that advertised, what a dog can do, what a dog, like, it's evident, you know. Anything, any other objectified thing that you can attain, it's evident, right? But it goes to show the level of objectification that we have done to women in our society, that you even have to say, what do you bring to the, like, if it's not already evident, I know that you're under MK Ultra programming. You're under a certain level of brainwashing. And that's cool. You just stay your ass over there. I have no parts in that. I'll let y'all play around. I'll let y'all play around in that. But that type of man definitely clearly ain't for me. And that is a clear indicator. If any woman wants to know indication, is he right? Listen, you want to play around in that playground? Because I think that's some very diabolical shit that people are under when it comes to that kind of language. And women, you have women that have bought into it and they rationalize that whole language and conversation about who bring to the table and all of that. Y'all can play around with that. I ain't got time for that. Because y'all have to understand it's much deeper than that. You have to understand the why, the how of the question. It's not the question. See, y'all focus on, the question. What does a woman bring to the... Why is the question being asked? What does the question do? And a woman that answers that question, you got to ask yourself, what kind of position is she in? Where is her self-esteem? Where is her value? Where is her self-worth? For a woman that answers that kind of question. You got women that will answer that question as if they have to advertise themselves. Fuck that. Anyway, so yeah, that's where I'm at. That's where I've always been at when it comes to dating, procreating. You ain't gonna catch me slipping. That's just, it ain't gonna happen. I may dibble and dabble, right? Because I'm human. And I have needs. And at times, I make a conscious decision to engage in certain spiritual contracts, you know, with men, of my choosing, though. Everything is my choice, right? And when that need is met, you know, it's met. And if it's going to be long-term, it can be long-term, right? There are spiritual contracts I've been in, lasted 3 years, 5 years. I've been in a whole 5-year relationship. That was my best friend at the time, and we only had sex one time. I do shit like that, you know? So, yeah, we'll see how this thing unfolds here. It's like y'all men like to say, y'all beta men. See how things unfold. All right, I'm going to catch y'all in the next one. Y'all feel free to drop your comments below. It is Juneteenth weekend. Juneteenth is on Monday. So I probably will be back again this weekend, but I will catch